Who's the best rapper on the West Coast today?
Game.
Damn, that was quick.
Yeah, it ain't. Yeah, that's it.
Ain't nobody getting at you?
Can't nobody out rap me, man. And anybody that knows will know. Because people can't, even if you are, like, no one can do what I can do. Like, no one has my skill set. Because not only do I have the ability to wrap circles around people, I'm also with all the bullshit too, if it came down to that. So it's like I'm the best rapper in this town.
Damn, Game. I mean, the OG, man. There's some OGs, some heavyweights. I mean, Cube, Snoop.
I love Cube, but Cube can't out-rap me. I love Cube. And by the way, the reason that Cube can't out-rap me is because I used Cube's legacy to help me sharpen.
Right.
I used Snoop's legacy to help me sharpen myself. I used Dr. Dre, NWA. So it's like those guys came before me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Kobe, right? You know Kobe watched Mike growing up.
For sure,
right?
absolutely.
But
you see the way he walked? You see the way he chewed that gum?
Okay.
He got the wristband on his elbow?
Now, Mike, in Kobe's prime, Mike couldn't hold Kobe.
No.
But that's because he came before him and he done with it.
Right.
I'm not saying if I was in 1992 with Cube might be able to, go crazy.
Right.
But right now, like, nah, it's not a rapper on the West that's better than me.
You still the best rapper from Compton?
I'm definitely the best rapper from Compton.
Definitely?
Definitely.
As you can hear from the audio, the Game said he's the best rapper from Compton and the best rapper from the West Coast. Now, that's very bold statement, but if you know the Game, you know that is his wheelhouse. That is what he's capable of saying. That's how he feels. And I think he genuinely feels this way. He's been saying this over a decade, and he hasn't shied away from it. He hasn't veered away from it. I remember an interview that he did back in, I want to say the late 2000s, that he put out, and Snoop Dogg addressed these comments and said, yeah, at his age, I felt the same way. And it's only right that he feels that way because that's how every rapper is supposed to feel. But is there any validity to what the Game said? Now, if you know me, the Game is in my top 10 favorite rappers of all time. A lot of people dropped off after maybe the second album with the Game just because of the antics that he had, and just he didn't have the machine behind him anymore. The beef with 50 Cent and G Unit, he was kind of blackballed in certain spots, as far as especially on a worldwide level. Now in Compton and California and smaller circuits, he still was doing his thing, but for the most part, they kind of silenced his voice and his music. But if anybody, listens to rap really with the keen ear or just even a half ear, that the Game gets busy. He can rap with anybody. He can rap different styles. He can rap different songs and different slow songs, rap songs, reggae, whatever you want to do. He can do different voices. He can mimic different rappers. He does it all. He's not a one trick pony, so to speak. He's very versatile in his attack and rapping ability. But I want to address first the point of him saying him being the best rapper from Compton, which might be the most difficult statement that he said because of the talent that's in Compton or that was in Compton. So when you talk about the best rappers from Compton, we talk about an Eazy-E, a Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC8, Kendrick Lamar, and of course the Game. All of these are usually in the conversation when it comes to the best rapper from Compton. And to me, it's only a competition between the Game and Kendrick Lamar and Ice Cube, of course. So those three. So when you think about longevity and you think about being able to rap different styles, I think the Game is better than Ice Cube because Ice Cube really doesn't have any slow songs that really slap like that. It raps really one style. He doesn't have the versatility, even though he was a trendsetter in Compton. He's pretty much set the tone for what the rappers are in Compton. So I will always give him credit for that. But as far as the Game goes, I think he has the better rap ability, the more versatility. Now, the Game's not more popular than Kendrick Lamar, or he's definitely not more popular than Ice Cube for sure, because of the success of NWA and what he did in individual success on rap and what he did in the movies and television, of course. Ice Cube is probably 20 times more popular. But when we just talking about on rap, on bars, on lyrics, on just creating entertainment musically, I think the game has the edge over him. But the tricky thing is between the game and Kendrick Lamar. So I'm still going to give the nod to the game over Kendrick Lamar for the simple fact of longevity. Kendrick Lamar came out in like 2010, 2011. The game's been doing it since like the early 2000s. He's put out, classic records, different styles. I think he has better albums than Kendrick Lamar. But shoot, for all it's worth, I think the game has better rap albums than most rappers, period. Especially even a Snoop Dogg, when we talk about the West Coast here in a little bit, he has great projects more than most. Now, these are undervalued, underslept. They've been silenced most of the industry because of the beefs that he had and because the people that he upset and things like that. But if you discography for discography, he has better than most. Now, Kendrick has some classic albums and classic songs as well, but I think when you talk about longevity, he has probably close to a 10-year head start on Kendrick Lamar. So it's really not fair as far as discography goes and the amount of music that he's been able to put out. And he's put out a lot of mixtapes and a lot of things that's not even credited in the discography as far as album goes. But his collabs as well. So he has so many different classic records, but most people don't know. So I think the game is right because I would rank the game first and then I would put Kendrick Lamar, then Ice Cube, just for the simple fact of that, just off impact and being able to rap. Well, you can't really do impact. This is just strictly off rap bars. Now, if you want to talk about impact, Ice Cube might be number one. Then you would put Kendrick Lamar. Should the game might not even be top 5 in impact, but rapping ability, he definitely has to be number one for Compton. Now, um, it's difficult for when you talk about the West Coast. Now, the West Coast is such a high range of people that you can include in that conversation. Rappers like Snoop Dogg, of course, you can bring in. Most people won't include a Tupac because they said he was born in New York, but he moved to California when he was like 17. But for his span of 17 until he passed away, until he was like 25, um, he was representing California and he was representing the West Coast in the Oakland area and out that way. So I do still count him as a West Coast rapper because, his first 17 years, he wasn't really rapping. So he didn't start really rapping until his early 20s and late teens. So I still count him as a California rapper. Now, Snoop Dogg as well. Now Snoop Dogg gets a lot of love for his first album and he has some loose singles here and there, but for the most part, his discography is not there. If you're going to talk about the best rapper. Now, if you talk about impact, now that's a different story. And the same thing with Tupac. Tupac wasn't the most lyrical. He could rap different styles. He rapped about different things, especially social issues. And then he can rap the gangster stuff and he can rap some lovey stuff. So he did have different styles, but he didn't have different tones and different cadences and wasn't able to mimic different styles like the game is. And I think that's where he was undervalued a lot as far as the West Coast goes. And then most people would bring up like a, E40 or a Too Short, but those guys weren't as lyrical as the game. Now, they definitely probably have more impact, and that's where the game slips off a lot, is he doesn't have the impact that these other artists have. But if you're talking about musical talent, the game is probably, I would put him as the top West Coast rapper. Now, I'm just talking about rap because Impact is something different. The likability, being a pop star, that's totally, that Snoop Dogg has probably got that because, he's your grandma's favorite rapper, even though they don't listen to rap, and people that at your job will know who Snoop Dogg is, but they won't know who the game is, but definitely the rappers will. But as far as, likability and popularity, of course, Snoop Dogg and Tupac, they're on t-shirts and they're all over the place. They're going to have that impact. But unfortunately, the game didn't have that luxury because he didn't play the game like they wanted him to, no pun intended. Because I believe if he would have stayed 50 Cent and stayed in his good graces and, stayed under Dr. Dre and Eminem, he would have been there. And especially if he had, projects with Eminem and he did more songs and had more production from Eminem and was, carried under Eminem's wing, I believe he would have been, 20 times more major than he is right now. and he would have been in a better spot. But unfortunately, he took his own route, but he still was able to get it done nevertheless, with the great production and great rapping that he has and just the great concepts. And that new project with DJ Drama that he has, phenomenal project. And I'm ready for the documentary 3 to release. And I did a podcast on that before. We still don't have a release date for that, but whenever that comes out, I'm definitely covering that. But tell me what your thoughts about the Game being the best rapper from Compton and the Game being the best rapper from the West Coast. And until next time, I'll see you next time.